So earlier today, Aaron Rodgers went on to the Pat McAfee show, and he sort of set this story straight. There was a lot of speculation yesterday that Aaron Rodgers probably had something to do with this, because you would think when you trade for a future Hall of Fame quarterback, you're sort of giving him the things he wants on the roster, guys like Allen Lazard. You'd assume that he may have some kind of input when it comes to the firing of a head coach. But Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show said that is not the case. He said he had nothing to do with Robert Saleh being fired. And he said it straight here, saying, quote, "As far as any of the ridiculous allegations out there, I'm not going to spend more than one sentence in response to it. And that is, I resent any of those accusations because they're patently false," Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show. "It's interesting the amount of power people think I have, which I don't. But I love Robert." And that was from Pro Football Talk. And it goes on here. "Yesterday was a day that reminds you of the simple fact that all of us who play know too well, and that's that it's a tough business," Rodgers told McAfee. "I love Coach Saleh. We have a very solid relationship. We have since I met him in 2021 and had a nice conversation when they came and visited us for joint practices. He was a big reason why I came to the Jets." So Rodgers saying he had nothing to do with Robert Saleh and that he was surprised that it took place. Before I had heard Rodgers talk, after just seeing the different reports that had come out that apparently Saleh had decided that he was going to take away play calling duties from Nathaniel Hackett in the next 10 to 15 minutes, he ends up getting fired. That was one report I saw. It just sort of looked like Rodgers probably had something to do with it in my mind. Now, Rodgers is claiming that he had nothing to do with it, and that could very well be the case. Part of me feels like owner Woody Johnson, who was so adamant about getting Rodgers to the New York Jets, and with him being future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers, he seemed to be the focal point of the entire roster. He was sort of the reason that people thought, okay, maybe the Jets can actually find some kind of success because Aaron Rodgers is here. Would Woody Johnson really be willing to fire Robert Saleh with Rodgers having no clue about it? That's something I still question. Maybe Rodgers is being 100% truthful. I just wonder if there's even more to the story just based on sort of how this looks overall. But again, maybe he's being 100% honest here. Then here we have from Connor Hughes on Twitter. Jets QB Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show regarding Nathaniel Hackett said there were going to be changes and the team was going to adjust some things, no matter what happened with Robert Saleh. Rodgers said he's on board with whatever Jeff Ulbrich decides. Sounds very much like Todd Downing will be play caller. So there's no doubt the issue with the Jets is their offense. They have one of the best defenses in the NFL, which is why I honestly didn't fully understand the decision to fire Robert Saleh. I understand that with the Jets, he's been 20-36, but I do think the point that's important to make is the fact that he's had quarterbacks like Zach Wilson, and then Aaron Rodgers has had one of the worst years of his career so far. He had that 3-interception game versus the Minnesota Vikings. And so I really don't think firing Robert Saleh is going to solve the Jets' offensive problems unless they also come in and make some kind of adjustment on the offensive side of the ball. And here's another interesting thing. If the Jets are going to end up taking the play call duties away from Nathaniel Hackett anyways, which it sounds like that might be the case with new interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich, then that does sort of, I think, make you think that Rodgers probably didn't have anything to do with it, from the standpoint of if Rodgers was very upset that he found out Hackett was going to get fired, and let's say he talks to owner Woody Johnson, then you would think that if that were the case and that were the reasoning for Woody Johnson firing Robert Saleh, that Nathaniel Hackett would hold on to the play calling duties. And so with that potentially being taken away from Hackett, that does sort of seem to, I think, lean more towards Rodgers having nothing to do with it. I still just feel like, you really wonder, would Woody Johnson really say absolutely nothing to Rodgers the night before on a phone call when the next morning he's planning on firing Robert Saleh? That's still a question in my mind. And again, as I said, maybe Rodgers is being completely honest, but it is a little interesting here. So we'll sort of see what happens with the Jets. If you want more NFL content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.